Doop doop boop. Northern. Oh, who am I kidding? This. Oh God, let's just do this thing. So week 2 happened. Week 2 happened. I know a lot of you guys are out there panicking right now. You're thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Yep. We're going to get through this. Let me first start off by welcoming everybody. This is week 2. Week 2. The North Coast Fantasy Football League. I'm John Clark. We're going to recap what happened, all the matchups. We're going to talk about some of the happenings. And we're going to find those silver linings. There aren't many this week. But we're going to talk about the ones that there are. So, let's take a look at what happened to some of the standings here. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. I don't know who figured out this stuff. I don't know who did this. I need to talk to somebody's manager. I lose one little game. And I dropped to 7th? I don't know about that. Someone got to check their algorithm here. Congrats to those of you guys who went up. There's a lot of movement here today. A lot of movement this week. Josh, you did it. You're in first place, buddy. Josh and the Wet Ass Pips are in first place. They went up 4 spots. That is 4 spots. Woo. The only John left in the top 3. We got Mr. John the Elder. Owns Bombers up to second place. That was a bit of a heartbreak situation for him, I'm sure. Had to defeat his own son, but we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that later on. All the storylines, wonderful storylines. Vince has made his way he made his way up to 3rd. There we go. You can see this stuff, right? The movers and the shakers. Everyone moved. Nobody stayed put. Of course, it's week 2. So if you're one of those people who dropped a lot, or had some of your studs get dropped due to injury, well, now's the time to just give up. Don't even go on. There's no point. Week 2, it's done. There's no coming back. No. Now is the time to make moves. Now's the time to see what's out there. Now's the time to try to make some trades. So, we're going to get into matchups. Like I said, lots of storylines, lots of movement. Let's see what happened, okay? Let's take a look at what happened this week in the North Coast Football Fantasy League. Kicking things off here in week 2, we're going to take a look at 8-Bit Defenders, Adam's team here. Now, granted, he had a bye week. Couldn't have gone better for him, right? Unfortunately, his players still play, right? And Adam was not immune to the mass injury list that happened this week. We're gonna hit on that in a second. But let's start with a couple of bright spots here. We've got Mr. Ben Roethlisberger doing Ben things. He's looking good. No elbow issues. A lot of question marks about him this year, and he plus 20 points. There you go, man. Your running backs. Now, I was kind of actually surprised that Kenyon Drake is so low. You'd have thought the way that game was going against Washington, I mean, they went up 2 touchdowns real quick. You'd think, hey, well, then my running backs are just going to feast. Well, that wasn't the case. 10 points, I mean, you're okay with that, but it certainly should have been more. And, of course, Mark Ingram, you'd like to see him more involved, too. But when you've got a running QB, both Baltimore and Arizona, they got running QBs, they're going to eat into your running backs' production there a little bit. So, but hey, those guys were okay. who weren't really okay were your wide receivers. AJ Green, I don't know what to think about him. I really don't. 4.4 points, and then Slayton. I know, like, the New York Giant wide receivers. Oh boy, that's a mess. That is a mess up there. I don't think the New York Giants know what's going on. Mr. Jones can't seem to get things going up there. Of course, George Kittle being inactive. Now, granted, you left him in your lineup. You didn't have any worries. You had a bye week. You did have another tight end though on your bench, Mr. Hunter Henry. Hey, he looked pretty good. 11.3 points for a tight end. I'll take that every week. So tight end, even without Kittle, you're all right. You're all right going forward, I think there. Let's see. We've got Adrian Peterson. Boy, what a disappointment after week 1. I think a lot of people expected him to be used a lot more in the Detroit offense there, but 4 points. Be glad it was your bye week. I'm just going to say that. Be glad, be thankful we have such a thing. Now, like I said, on your bench here, Hunter Henry's your bright spot there, and Joe Burrow. Cortland Sutton, I'm sorry, man. ACL and MCL tears. Man, and he had a lot of hype around him too. And the injuries got him. So definitely going to want to make some moves for the wide receivers. No doubt there. No doubts there. Yeah. Anyway, you still pulled out a nice W for having your bye week. So there you go. Moving forward, make some moves, get some wide receiver fixes in there, and I think you'll be all right. Moving on to our first head-to-head matchup of week 2. We've got Roy versus Banana Slugs. Steve and Jeff going at it. Here we go. This matchup, Steve, much improved from week 1 to week 2. And it seemed to be on the back of just a handful of players, but they came through for you. And Jeff, we're going to talk about Jeff in a minute. Let's talk about Steve first. Mr. Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things. 30 points. Man. Oh, now that's what you drafted him for, right? That's what you needed from him. James Robinson. Man, I don't think anybody saw that coming. And if you did, well, let me know so we can place some bets because you could see the future. James Robinson. Now, if I remember right, I believe you acquired him in a trade. So, good. You got a decent asset due to that trade there. Devin Singletary, that's a disappointment. 8.6 points, that is a disappointment. I know that's not news to anybody. I'm not quite sure what Buffalo's doing up there in their backfield. I don't think they've quite got things figured out. But your wide receivers, again, one guy disappoints, one guy does really, really, really well. But Deontay Johnson, man, again, I don't think anybody saw that kind of week for Deontay Johnson. And the guy you expected to do well, Allen Robinson, disappointed. That's kind of it's crazy, Steve. I don't know what's going on with your team. A weird week. Austin Hooper. I don't know what to make of Austin Hooper at all. I don't think going forward, and maybe looking at some tight end options. I don't know what's out there. I don't know what's out there. I haven't looked at the waiver wires yet. But Austin Hooper does not seem to be doing you any favors. And it's Baker Mayfield's fault. Let's just say it. Baker Mayfield's fault. CeeDee Lamb, there you go. Dallas wide receivers. Dallas had quite the game. Man, that was crazy game. I am not a Dallas fan. I liked all of that game until the very end. Okay? So, Dallas fans, hey, celebrate while you can, okay? That was crazy. You guys tried some shenanigans, and then you tried one last little... Anyway, whatever. Whatever. Let's talk about the players here. But CeeDee Lamb, there you go. I don't think anyone expected that from CeeDee Lamb. That's what I feel like I'm saying that a lot for you, Steve. A lot of unexpecteds. Tom Brady. Really, I honestly, I didn't realize he only got 8 points this week. Not the worst performing QB on the week. But at least he was on your bench, right? At least he was on your bench. David Montgomery, after last week's scare, man, he rebounded this week. He rebounded. That was really good. Raheem Mostert, keep an eye. I know San Francisco had a lot of injuries. So keep an eye on his status. And Brandon Cooks and Devontae Parker. I mean, those are solid. You had a lot of guys that gave you solid numbers. It's going to be a game deciding who to play what week. You know, depending on the matchups. Here going forward, it's all about making the plays. That's how you're going to win the league, man. It's going to be work. It's going to be luck. But you made a lot of right moves so far. Seeing that point increase, that was very impressive. So keep it up. Keep it up, man. Now, the other side, Jeff. Jeff, nobody has been hit harder by stud injuries than you have. And I am sorry. You know, I said at the draft recap that you had a scary team. I didn't realize that I should have been scared for injury. That's what I should have been. I should have known. I should have known that Michael Thomas was playing through a high ankle sprain and that Saquon Barkley would mess up his knee so badly to take him out of the season. Oof. Sir, I am sorry. Do not give up. Make moves. Use this opportunity. It's early enough in the season. Do what you can. We use that fab. Get some guys off waivers. Try to make some trades. Who knows? Hey, maybe you can get something from Michael Thomas. He's not out for the season. See what you can get. Don't trade low. Don't trade low. But let's take a look at what else happened, though. 56 points. You know when that happens, there's a disaster. And you had multiple. Woo, did you have multiple. Kirk Cousins, negative 1.4. I cannot remember a time where a QB got negative points that somebody played in their lineup. Much less somebody who should have been a top 12, top 13 quarterback this week. Kirk Cousins, he's a solid play. No, oh, man, look at that. -1. Nope. I would be tempted to spite drop him. I'm not advocating for that. I am not advocating for that. But spite drops, sometimes they feel good in the moment. All right, Frank Gore. Frank Gore is infinite, right? Frank Gore is now and forever. So, too bad he's on the Jets. He is supposed to be the guy there, but he's on the Jets. Of course, Saquon Barkley, I mean, you can't, I don't know. Not a lot to say about that situation, except it sucks. It really sucks. Okay, a bright spot here. Adam Humphries. Here, there you go. Wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, getting you 13 points. That's solid. That's good. That's what you want. Rashad Perryman, questionable. I mean, not just because he has a Q next to his name, but I think just questionable. The Jets, try to avoid him if you can. Now, the one stud you still have that's playing, crap the bed for you. Mark Andrews, 3.4 points. He's going to have those weeks. Hopefully they're few and far between. I would lean more towards his week 1 performance as a higher odds of happening than a low one like a 3.4. So Mark Andrews, that just sucks. That just sucks. Sonny Michel, part of that New England backfield. It's Sonny Michel things. I mean, it's a flex play. You're never excited about a New England running back in your flex. You hope they hit, and he didn't hit. Now, you still have Gardner Minshew. You still have that going for you. The man refuses to go along with the we're tanking program. And, hey, that's great for fantasy. Because he's going to go out there and he's going to try. He's going to try. And so far, he is succeeding. Jerick McKinnon. You're gonna want to lean on him now. You're definitely gonna want to lean on him. And he's not a bad one to lean on. He's no Saquon Barkley. But he looks like he might be emerging in there in San Francisco. So hey, he might get you 2 points next week, but that's going to be 2 more points to Saquon Barkley. All right. Golden Tate, he's right up there with all the other New York Giant receivers. You can't trust him. You can't trust him. All right. So overall, Jeff, don't give up. Don't give up. It's too easy. It's too easy to give up right now. Don't do the easy thing, man. Put in some work. Little bit of work. Doesn't have to be a lot. Little bit of work. It's still pretend football, right? Get some other guys on your team. Try to make some moves here. And do your best, buddy. I'm rooting for you. I already played you, so I don't have to worry about you. I'm rooting for you, man. Moving on to our next matchup. We've got These Unprecedented Times. A little bit of a name change there. Against Wet Ass Pips. Dan versus Josh. Now, we already took a look at the fact that Josh is right now number 1 in the standings. And he had a heck of a week. 150 points in our league is crazy good. Fun fact, it's only the second best score of the week. There was one team that scored higher than that, which is crazy. Now, overall, the scores were up this week. The average this week was 118 points. That's up by quite a bit. Last week was 106. That's usually about what we can expect. But this week's average score was 118. So, as you can tell, we've got one team here well above that and one team here that's well below that. So let's start with These Unprecedented Times. So Dan had the bye week last week, and his team did great. Went up against Josh this week. So let's take a look at what happened, right? Let's see. Let's see what the story unfolds, how it unfolds here. We've got Aaron Rodgers. Oh man, I bet he wish he could have had last week's Aaron Rodgers score. 18.7, still good. Definitely not the week 1 performance, but still good for Aaron Rodgers. You know, I wouldn't shy away from riding that guy for the rest of the season. Well, at least the foreseeable future, until something bad happens. He's playing angry. So, 18 points. All right. His duo of running backs here, Dalvin Cook and Josh Jacobs, both of them about hit their floor, I think. They didn't do much better. You know, when you're right around the 10 to 15, that's what you expect from both of them. So Dalvin barely did a little bit better. And Josh Jacobs, I was really surprised. He was getting a lot of carries. They just stuck him. So, disappointment there, right? Now, you're lucky. I believe Josh Jacobs, there was a little bit of a scare during that game, but he seems to be okay. And but, you know, your big disappointment here, Will Fuller. You know, I mentioned in last week's recap, playing while he's healthy. Well, okay. All right. Will Fuller with the goose egg. That helps nobody on your team, right? DK Metcalf, man, yeah, really good. Look at that guy. 17.2 points. Let's see. Paris Campbell, you know, he was one of the hot pickups from week 1. And now he's done for a bit. placed on IR. I know they haven't given him a timetable yet, but oh man, what a disappointment there. This week with all the injuries, a lot of notable names, and his was one of them, especially with the hype after week one. Philip Lindsay, I know it's not season ending, but he's got one of those little turf toe situations going on. I mean, the bench was the perfect spot for him, and he might be on there for a little bit longer. Let's see. No one else really. Honestly, I think Gronk is droppable, but with the goose egg from him, he was kind of a lotto ticket anyway. You might want to try to make a move to replace that, but you did have a little bit of good news. Galladay. I know there were some questions about Galladay, but it looks like he's going to be back for next week. Granted, doesn't help you for this week. It doesn't help you, but look, you went up against someone who scored 150. The chances of you beating that are very slim anyways, okay? So, that's all right. Hey, take the knock, take the loss. You got Galladay back next week. It's looking like that. And Jerry Jeudy, he seems to be somebody that going forward is going to be a decent flex play for you, Anyways. Obviously not the best score-wise, but hey, there are some people that got it worse. All right, now on to Josh. Josh's team, there's nothing. The the big thing was McCaffrey. Now, granted, he got you 22 points and then decided to get injured. But they're saying it's a high ankle sprain. Those things tend to linger. They tend to linger. And a running back, we've seen it in wide receivers, how much it can hamper their play. Running backs, it's even worse. So Christian McCaffrey, make plans. Pick up his handcuff, if there is one. Anyway, you're going to have to spend some fab, I think. Hey, Mike Evans came out. He performed, after week one's like, oh my gosh, Mike Evans. I'm not going to lie. I was thinking about giving you a trade offer to try to get him. But I didn't end up offering you anything. But I don't know if you would have said yes anyway. But this is why, I wanted him. But, hey, 22 points, Mike Evans. There you go. Seems like that was a bounce-back game for him. Amari Cooper, you would have thought after a game like that where Dak just balled out that he would have gotten more of a share, but, he didn't. 16 still fine. Obviously you're fine with that. But I know you're probably expecting a little bit more. Now, the man of the day for you was Tyler Higbee. Holy cow. Tyler Higbee. 3 scoring plays. The man couldn't miss. He could not miss. Tyler Higbee. Just under 26 points from your tight end. Man. That was amazing. T.Y. Hilton had disappointment, but I know you're not overly concerned. Not overly concerned over there. So on your bench here, Robbie Anderson, I know he did well last week. Granted, when you've got Mike Evans, Amari Cooper, and T.Y. Hilton, Robbie Anderson's not going to make his way onto your starting lineup. He's excellent bye-week filler. You could use him for a decent trade now. He's had 2 really solid weeks. He might be a flex play going forward. He looked really good there in Carolina. Carolina doesn't have a lot of weapons right now, but Robbie Anderson looks pretty stable there. Now, I know Sammy Watkins, he got knocked out of the game. He should be back, I think. Same with Jack Doyle. Nothing too crazy. But the Chris McCaffrey news. Yes, you got a W, but at what cost? Cover your butt. Make some moves going forward just to fill that slot. It's not indefinite, But I don't know. Maybe you won't be in first place very long. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Next matchup, we've got the hopeful Yokel against Feeling Fine. Scott against Kurt. All right, Kurt. Kurt did a name change. We got another name change. Two teams going with their current emotions here. So, Kurt, I'll just start off by mentioning this before we get into the actual breakdown. If I had a little gold star, I'd give it to you as a much improved team for the week. Still below the average, but considering where you were in week 1 and how you scored in week 2, you made a lot of moves, and they're paying off. They're paying off. So let's start on the hopeful Yokel side. Now, I will say, just as a little side note, that both these guys did a little bit of changing their rosters around before I could screenshot them this morning. I try to get to them pretty early to catch the actual lineup after everything's all calculated and everything. But a couple lineup swaps, and that's okay. We're gonna highlight some the teams overall, right? So starting with the hopeful Yokel here. Man, oh man, oh man, hopeful Yokel. I know how to say that properly. His New Orleans stack came through this week. Granted, Drew Brees, you'd like to see a little bit more, but you couldn't ask for any more out of Alvin Kamara. You really couldn't. You know, a lot of the talk was the absence of Michael Thomas, who was going to benefit. A lot of people thought it was going to be Emmanuel Sanders. Well, that didn't turn out to be the case at all. Alvin Kamara just kept on eating. Just yum, 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 yum. 33.9 points. Nick Chubb came through for you this week. 28.8 points. I mean, your running backs, wow. Way to go. Kamara, you expected. Chubb, you hoped for it. And it all came together for you. Let's see. Tyreek Hill got hit. I mean, a lot of it right at the very end there. But he got his. He came through for you there. Now, Marquise Brown. Ooh, man. I don't know what happened there. I'm not sure what happened. I didn't watch a lot of that game. But only 6.7 from him. Now, granted, he was in your flex spot. So, who was in your wide receiver spot? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at who it was. Jarvis Landry. Jarvis Landry. Yeah, that's a letdown. I think the bench is a good spot for him. I think it is. I know they've got Washington this week. I don't think that's going to make things any better. I'm not going to lie, but I can see why you made some switches pretty quick. He was pretty disappointing there. Again, I know you watched that game closer than I did, so that's probably why the quick swap. So now back to your actual starters who are still in the starting spots here. Noah Fant going forward. Look out, with Courtland Sutton gone. I think he's going to be relied on pretty heavily. Noah Fant, wow, 15 points for a tight end. Very good, very good. Now on your bench, now granted you already swapped one guy up. I mean, there's not a lot. I mean, Chris Thompson, okay. Again, he's prone to injury. In fact, on a week like this, I'm glad nothing happened to Chris Thompson, because it could have. All right, so your starting lineup did you good. 141 points, almost 142. We'll give it to you, 142. I'm sure you're not complaining this week. Now, Kurt's feeling fine. And Kurt should feel fine. After this week's performance, yes, it was a loss. Granted, it was a loss, but it was much improved. Now, we'll take a look at what... he did some swapping around, too, on me. So let's take a look at what happened in the matchup and see if we can figure out why he made some swaps pretty quick. So, Matt Ryan, I mean, 2 weeks in a row of just slinging it. Don't have to worry about your QB slot. I didn't think you had to anyways, but very, very good on that one. Austin Eckler and Miles Sanders back. He's back. And this week, there were some people who were like, oh, do you play Miles Sanders? Do you not? I mean, I know you didn't have a lot of choice. And he came through for you with 18.6. That's good. That's good. So you know you've got some running backs going forward that you can count on to get those, 15 to 20s. That's what I would expect. That's not their floor, but that's what I would expect. Odell Beckham. Now I know he wasn't in your lineup, but let's talk about him because now he's in your lineup, and I think it says a lot about where your mind's at right now. He's gonna do this for you all season. Gonna do this for you. Gonna go up and then down and up and down. No, it's not week to week. You can't tell. You're playing the Odell Beckham game. Maybe he'll complain his way to a few more points. Maybe he'll complain himself right off the field and take his own, mental attitude right out of the game. We'll see. DJ Moore, solid play. I think going forward he'll do okay for you. Let's see. Tight end Goddard. I know you expected more from Goddard. The whole Ertz-Goddard question now. But it's all tied to Wentz, and Wentz is a big question mark right now. I don't know. It sucks. But what other options do you have right now? He's still a good option because you know he can get you points. He can do it. Just this week he didn't do it for you. Now, Joe Mixon. I know he wasn't. Oh no, Joe Mixon was in your lineup. Now he's down to your flex. Oh, I see. Now I'm just looking down a little bit at who was in your lineup. Naeem Hines. Ooh, after the week 1 hype. Oh, super hype. Everyone's like, spend your fab. Burn your waiver priorities to get 0.9. And there was no reason for it. It's not like he was game scripted out or anything. No reason for that. I don't know. No explanation. I have no idea. I'm no expert. Mr. Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know if you need a backup QB with Mr. Matt Ryan. Maybe you got a sneaky suspicion about him. I ain't gonna judge you for it, but continue to make moves. I saw the Quintez Cephas pickup too. All right. Now, was he in your lineup? No, he wasn't. Okay. He's still a question mark going forward. But you've got Corey Davis, Russell Gage. I don't think anyone saw that from Gage, but you've got him in your lineup. And Michael Gallup. There was the other guy in your lineup, Michael Gallup. Disappointing. Especially with the game that Dallas had. But don't drop him. Trade him to me. I'll trade you low. I'll give you Mr. Akers for him. Michael Gallup. Yeah, disappointing play there. But still, hey, Kurt, things are looking up. 0-2. I know you're not the type of guy to give up. You're the guy who makes moves. This is why you've got the history in this league that you have. Right now, though, looking okay. Looking better. I'll just say that. Looking better. Okay, here we go. All right, so these last 3 matchups, several of the games that we had this week came down to the very last game on Monday night. The last 3 matchups that I'm going to talk about, especially so. So we've got the first one of these is for Castleton against Finns. So me versus Matt. This one was, to me, pretty heartbreaking. We had the highest scoring team and the 3rd highest scoring team. So it's one of those weeks where I'm looking at my lineup and I'm thinking to myself, man, if it was just about anybody else, I would have gotten the W. But this is fantasy football. And look, when you play pretend football, you have to pretend win and pretend lose, just like everybody else. Okay? So, for Castleton, let's take a look at what happened here. I have nothing to complain about. A little bit to complain about. But overall, Kyler Murray he's been coming through for me. Now, granted, it was against my Washington football team, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I never thought that they would beat Arizona anyways. So Kyler Murray, there we go. Getting the 30-plus point game. Boom. On my way to 149. Almost 150. Aaron Jones. Man, what can I say? I know at the draft recap I said I was not really excited about him. I'm excited about him. So 46, top player of the week. Man, I'll take it. Please. Aaron Jones, do what do. 46.6. The only thing that sucks about that is a lot of the little podcasts and things that I listen to on the week 2 recaps were all saying, "Oh, if you had Aaron Jones, you won." Not my situation, but I'm still really happy about what Aaron Jones did. Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, disappointing. Again, I didn't really watch that game very, very closely, but only 10 points. Definitely his floor. I wouldn't expect less. Okay, he pretty much hit exactly what I expect at the bare minimum. But especially considering he got 22 last week. So there was, I can only be but so disappointed. Little disappointed in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Robert Woods. Hey, it's sometimes it's his game, sometimes it's Cup's game, sometimes it's neither of them. It's neither of them, and that was this week. Now, Devontae Adams got a little scary there. The hamstring injury. That's always scary because hamstring injuries could be minor, they could be major, they could linger. Oh, that's scary. Last I heard was that he wanted to go back in, but the coaches kept him out. So he should be good for week 3. I think I dodged a huge bullet, but I'm kind of weary. You're not going to not play Adams if he's active. You're not going to, so I might be in for a few more weeks like this, 5 points, especially if they get out to an early, a large lead or early lead. They might take Adams out just to kind of help him rest up that hammy. Hayden Hurst, finally, this is what I expected. This is why I picked him up. Lotto ticket kind of tight end. And 15 points, I was thrilled. Still, still going forward. I don't know what to expect from him, but with Matt Ryan slinging it the way he is, hopefully he gets a little more trust in Hayden Hurst. Lord knows he's been throwing it to all his other receiving options. And finally, in terms of my starting lineup, Terry McLaurin. Oh, this is why I drafted him. Because Washington's going to be behind. Okay? That's just a fact of how it is. And when they're behind, they've got to throw it. And really, their only good, reliable receiver is Terry McLaurin. Some people looking at their tight end. Tight end? But McLaurin, he's pretty good going forward here. Anything else? Do I have anything else to be thankful for? Hey, Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones did Marvin Jones things. Okay, 10 points from him. Cam Akers, minor injury, but it's to his ribs. I don't think I'll be keeping Cam Akers on my on my roster going forward. Cam Akers. And Darrell Williams, I got him as a handcuff anyway, so I'm not worried about him hurting his ankle. Anyway, so my starting lineup, I'm still happy with. You can't be upset with 149 points. It's the fantasy football gods deemed me unworthy for a W this week. All right, so let's look at the other side of this matchup here. Matt and the Fins, man, did you have a week. Week 1, Matt, you had a solid week. Had a solid week anyways. It was 117, I believe, right around there. So, solid week, and this week you bumped it up, man. Bumped it up. Who's to blame? Who's to blame for that? Who's to blame for this fiasco of a week for me? Well, let's start with your QB. Josh Allen. Josh Allen looks to be legit. Look at that. 30, 28 points. Man, oh man. Man. Josh Allen. Just drop him. Just drop him now. Awful, awful QB. Now, Malcolm Brown. I know. Yeah, LA running backs are having some issues here. I'm not sure how serious Malcolm Brown's injuries are, but you might have to look at replacing him. Yeah, because 4.7 points, that ain't gonna cut it. Leonard Fournette came through with you, or for you, not with you. You weren't on the field, but for you. With 28, I was really thrilled to see that. Now, I know there was also a really long run that was taken back from him, so it could have been more. But hey, I don't think you're complaining for 28 points from Leonard Fournette. Maybe he'll keep doing that. All right, now Julio said he was injured. Julio, he's boom bust. I mean, his floor is as low as his ceiling is high. There we go. I had to fit in the frame here. Julio Jones, he gave you a crap week. You know that's going to happen. But Tyler Lockett, solid 16 points. Seattle, all of Seattle's looking good. All of Seattle. I'm going to skip over Waller for now, but Keenan Allen getting you 13. Hey, for your flex, Keenan Allen, you're not going to complain about that at all. Okay. Now back to Waller. So, yeah, he was the only player you had Monday night. I was done scoring. I had a 14-point lead on you at that point. And I knew Waller can get. I know what Waller can do. I thought, if he gets in the end zone, I'm done. If he gets in the end zone, if he doesn't get in the end zone, he can get I had a lot of wiggle room there, especially for a tight end position. But it was when he got his touchdown, and that touchdown put you over, gave you the 150. And of course, he went on to do more damage. So Waller, there you go. There's a super, super bright spot for you. Man, oh man. Good week for you, man. On your bench, Daniel Jones, he looks droppable, absolutely droppable. If you want to carry a second QB, take your pick. Dobbins was, I don't know, the Baltimore backfield is kind of, I'm head scratching over here. DeAndre Swift, Detroit running backs, you don't know between Adrian Peterson, DeAndre Swift, and Ruggs. You couldn't have played Ruggs instead of Lockett? Anyways, good week, man. Good week. Congrats on the W. Now go do it again. Do it again, man. Do it again. Okay, we've got Marsala Maulers against Black Swan Event. Vince against Ryan. Woo, this one was a little bit of a nail biter. Again, this one came down to the very last game. Ryan had one player going up that was within striking distance of Marsala Maulers, and just didn't quite pull it out. So let's see what each team did. Let's see what we've got to work with here. So we're going to start with Marsala Maulers. Did Dak come around? 43 points. Man, oh man. Don't expect that every week, obviously, but take it when you can get it. When he's a third of your points, take it when you can get it. Going down to your running backs, Ronald Jones. I mean, I don't think anyone foresaw that Leonard Fournette would be the guy when Ronald Jones has been said to be the number one, the RB1 in that team. So, the 9.7 points is disappointing. I know he got in the end zone, but you expect more from Ronald Jones. Antonio Gibson, not quite the guy yet. They've still got the running back by committee. He shows the most promise. He does. But 11.7. I think that's about what you could expect right there. The low teens at best, until they wake up and realize they've got a good running back on their hands. DeAndre Hopkins, him and Kyler Murray, they've got a connection. They do. I know there were a couple dropped balls. He had one that was right on his chest. And so that, could have been higher. I know you're not complaining overall because you got the W, but DeAndre Hopkins that's definitely a bright spot on your team here. Cooper Kupp, him and Robert Woods. It just wasn't their week. Now, your tight end situation is a little interesting here. Evan Ingram, who I know a lot of people talked about in the offseason. Again, New York Giants offense is a bit of a mess. Question marks across the board, especially now with Saquon out. What's going to happen there? Who knows? But down on your bench, you've got Mike Gesicki with 26. I know that was unexpected. He was hyped up. You might be playing a tight end game going forward. At least until you see what New York Giants are doing with their offense. At least you've got Gesicki in the wings, who you see he's got the potential, but he's on Miami. You know what I mean? So, anyways, you're gonna have fun with the tight end game. DJ Chark, I know there was a little bit of a scare with him, but he's gonna be okay. So going forward, I think your wide receivers are pretty set. They might not have the most boom capability out there, with the exception of DeAndre Hopkins. Kupp does have that, but he hasn't shown it yet. Now, elsewhere on your bench, besides Gesicki, obviously, you're not going to be playing Matty Stafford over Dak Prescott. I know I've mentioned that before. The rest of them, just be glad you've got a roster worth starting. And it looks like you dodged the injury. You dodged the major injuries here, which is good. I think any team that gets out this week with no major injury is thankful. Now, moving on to Ryan and the Black Swan event. I know the record is 0-2. Little things here and there. If they'd swung the other way, it could be 2-0 because you've got a good team. Especially with Jonathan Taylor. Man, that's a huge bright spot there. 21 points with Marlon Mack. Again, the injury, you hate to see it happen, but that's the opportunity that Jonathan Taylor had going into the season, and he's making the most of it. Scooting back up to your QB, of course, Russell Wilson. Man, he's looking like he wants that MVP. He looks like he wants it. He's playing like it. David Johnson, man, not just a disappearing act. Not quite sure what happened on that one, but 6 points. I would not. Man, especially after that week 1 performance, he looked back. Looked like he was back. He didn't look back. He looked like he was back. However, there you go with Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley going off. You see that potential. You see Jonathan Taylor potential. So you've got QB, an RB, a wide receiver that you know you can count on those guys, right? Now the other things moving forward, we're gonna get to your Pittsburgh situation in a second. Just hold on a second. The Scott Miller play. I'm not quite sure what that was. But obviously, looking at your other options, it wouldn't have made an impact where you would have won the game, right? So Scott Miller wasn't the issue. Honestly, the issue that you went up against was Dak Prescott. Scott Miller, he might be replaceable there. Honestly, I think. Anyway, I'm not gonna Tuesday evening quarterback on you here. Now your Jared Cook, that play, he could have come through, and he was getting some looks pretty early. I thought maybe going forward that well, I didn't know if he would, but he could have the way that game was going. He could have come through, especially with no Michael Thomas. You'd think the receivers there would have gotten a lot more attention. Alvin Kamara got all the attention. And then Juju, especially after last week's just gangbusters performance, 8.3 is disappointing. 8.3 is disappointing. Moving on to your bench. Baker, all right. Okay. Hold on to him. I guess. Hold on to him. Now, your James Conner, Benny Snell. Look, you can look at the points for Conner and say, oh, what if? You couldn't play James Conner. You couldn't have done it. I hope you came to that realization. Don't kick yourself. The good news is, you made the move to pick up Benny Snell, and then you didn't play him either. Again, that was the right move. Nobody knew what was going on in the Pittsburgh backfield. Benny Snell looked really good when he took over, but then James Conner was in. James Conner's gone out after 2 plays before. I know, because he was on my team when he did it. When he was good to go. So, looking at the points, don't kick yourself for that one, man. I think a wait-and-see approach was the right move. This Lavishka guy... This Lavishka guy... Man, oh man. Interesting to keep an eye on him. Really interesting. I don't know Jacksonville. I assumed they were tanking this year. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but he's definitely worth just holding on to and seeing what. Maybe. Now the move that most people probably would have made would be to have put Emmanuel Sanders in. Everyone assumed he was the heir apparent to Michael Thomas's targets. And boy, oh boy, 2.3 points for Emmanuel Sanders. Look, again, some of the podcasts I listened to today, they were saying drop him. That's ridiculous. Unless he got injured and I didn't know about it. But again, hey, listen. Overall, good performance. Disappointing with the result. You're never happy if you lose. But going forward, you got a lot to be okay about. A lot to be okay about. All right. There you go. So that was the Marsala Maulers against Black Swan event. Overall, 2 solid teams, both avoiding the injury catastrophe that was week 2. So you moving forward, I don't think either of you guys have a lot to complain about. All right. Well, hey, that does it for this week's matchups for the... Oh, no. We've got one more. That's right. Oh, now this. I got you guys. I know I got you. This one right here. This is the storyline of the week. And this was made for these kind of recap videos, okay? This storyline here. No one else would know about this in the world. But now they will, because we've got Bones Bombers versus Nero's Fiddle. The father versus the son. John the Elder versus John the Younger. Oh, man. And the way this game played out, you couldn't have written a script that was better. I'm telling you guys, it was fun for me to watch. And John the Younger had a nervous weekend. We'll just say that right now. So we've got John the Elder, Bones Bombers. Let's take a look and see what happened here. So Lamar Jackson, disappointing week. I mean, anytime it's sub 20, disappointing week, right? Man. Obviously, you're not going to move him. You're not going to, you might be slightly disappointed, but Derrick Henry, man, disappointment there as well. Only 8.4. Man, let's look at this overall score. What's this? Oh, you ended up winning. You won. You won. Man. Okay. Chris Carson, he was great. Seattle was good this week. So there you go. 18 points from him. Tyler Boyd, 16 points. Your sneaky play right here. Traquan Smith. Giving you a reason to get up to the very last game. All he needed to do was get you a few points. Now, if I remember correctly, which of course I always do, John Younger, Nero's fiddle, all of his skill positions, okay, so I think his defense and kicker didn't, but all of his skill positions played either Thursday night or the 1 o'clock window on Sunday. So he got most of his score, most of his points. He was just over 100 points going into the later windows and then the Monday night. He literally had to sit and watch as John the Elder just was catching up the whole time. So it was fun for me because I enjoy these kind of things. I just thought storyline. No matter how this turns out, storyline. There you go with Travis Kelce getting you the 19.5, and then Alan Lazard. Hey, I mean, lotto play. He's especially with the injury possibility to Mr. Adams. But Alan Lazard, he got a lot of looks. He dropped a few. I know he dropped quite a few. I did watch that game. On your bench, you've got Tannehill. Now, again, no way you're ever playing Tannehill over Lamar Jackson. But this week he would have made your life easier. But that's not a question going forward. Josh Kelly. I know a lot of the things that I was listening to today about waiver wire pickups. He was on a lot of lists, and hey, you've already got him. Don't have to spend nothing to get him. You've already got him. Zach Moss was on there too. And then of course John Brown. John Brown seems to be when he seems to play when he's on your bench. So anyway, and then Kyle Rudolph. We don't have to talk about him when you've got Kelce. Flipping side over here to Nero's fiddle. Mitchell Trubisky. Yeah. All right. Todd Gurley. Disappointment. Ezekiel Elliott. Not a disappointment. Adam Thielen. Oh. Again, a total victim of Kirk Cousins and his inability to do anything or pretend that he was playing anything other than high school football. Stephon Diggs. Wow. Yes. Who'd have thought, Stephon Diggs would move on and have a week like this compared to Adam Thielen? 28 points. So, Ertz. Kareem Hunt. It's like every other spot. Oh, hey. Anyways. All right, so now Deshaun Watson, obviously you can feel okay about not putting that play in. I know you were going with the matchup, but that wouldn't have made the difference, still got that question mark, Devontae Freeman. Last week it was down to 4 teams, and who knows? Let's see. Julian Edelman. I think he's kind of like a Fuller situation, playing while he's healthy. Again, I mean, you're not gonna put him in over Thielen and Diggs, so he's a flex play. But Kareem Hunt was your flex play, right? I mean, so again, that decision that didn't make your difference either. I mean, who's gonna play Edelman over Thielen? Nobody. Nobody's gonna make that move. And if you did, you're a liar. Oh, I called somebody on the internet a liar. Oh, I'm going to hear about it. Anyway, so obviously, guys, the end result, the father defeats the son. I don't know if you guys had any side bet or anything going on. I'd like to think that you did. Maybe the loser gets beat up with some wet noodles or something. I don't know. But Bones, congratulations, 2-0, 2-0. You deserved it. And Nero's fiddle. Hey, I mean 113 is okay, just under the league average, but league average is fine. League average is fine. I think if all your guys can hit, if everything's running on all cylinders, well, we saw last week you had a super high score. So anyway, football gods did not smile upon you this week. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you for that storyline. Fun to watch, even though I was at the same time I was watching my own demise. Loss. Not a demise. I'm still here. All right. Well, that's it for the recaps here. I do have one last little item to talk about. I think it'll be a little bit of a surprise for you guys. All right. Here's my big surprise. My big reveal is just a little project I've been working on. An alternative scoring method for fantasy football. And it's something that I've wanted to kind of implement and approach the league about, maybe implementing in the future. But I wanted to kind of do a proof of concept this year. I've done it before, just for my own little records. I deleted those files. I don't have them anymore. But it is interesting to see how the league kind of ends up at the end of the season compared to the standard scoring league that we have, or scoring method. So in this alternative record, every week, everybody has the opportunity to get 2 points. Obviously, your head-to-head matchup, that's worth a point. If you win, you get a point. If you lose, you don't. Or you get a loss on your record. And the other way, the other point, win or loss, is determined by your actual score and comparing that to the weekly average of the league. So once everyone's score has been calculated, take the average. If you were above that average, you get a W. If you were below that average, you don't get the W. You get an L. Okay. So that way you can see here where Josh is 4-0, even though it's only 2 weeks, and that's because he scored 107 week 1 and 150 week 2. The averages down here, 106, so he barely got it in week 1. But then, of course, week 2, he smashed that average. So if it's bolded, if the number is bolded here, that's a win for the weekly matchup, the head-to-head matchup. And if it's green, you beat the average. If it's red, you were below the average. Now, what this means is it's not always split evenly, the number of wins and losses. Like, for example, this second week, there were more people who got above the average, which is kind of crazy because it was a high average, than there were on week 1. So, the wins and losses are going to come out much differently. And I think at the end of the season, it's going to reward those teams who truly perform better overall. This week I lost with the 3rd best point total because I happened to go up against the person that got the best point total. In that case, you can look here. I got a win because I was above the average, but I didn't get both wins because I lost my head-to-head matchup. So as of right now, if I scroll down here just a little bit, the overall standings are, again, it's just pretty interesting to see. So after week 1, a bunch of 2-0s, 1-1, 0-2s. After week 2, that's when it's going to start to get interesting and divide things up. So we've got the 2 undefeated teams in this format with Josh and John, and then the tiebreaker for the records are your total points for. Okay, I'm not taking into account points against or anything. In fact, at the end of the top column here, I've got the total points. But right now, week 2, it's pretty easy to see that. So of all the 3-1s, I have the most points scored. and then Matt, and then Vince. So that puts the order of those. Now in week 2, I did start to I wanted to kind of show who rose in rank and who dropped in rank, and I did that with the bold. You improved your standing. If it's italicized, you dropped in your standing here. So anyway, if you guys care about this, I might include an update at the end of these recap videos, maybe every other video or so. But anyway, that's my surprise. All right, listen, we're going on to week 3, okay, and a lot of changes are going to happen. People have to deal with those injuries. We've got to deal with disappointment. Some people who aren't happy with their scores, you're going to have to make moves, even if it's not due to injury. Some players are surprising. Some players are, well, surprisingly disappointing. So, anyway, hey, make your moves. Hope you guys enjoyed this recap, and I will see you guys next week.